All right, welcome to another episode of Technical Warehouse Analysis. Today we'll be discussing NIO, ticker NIO. The goal is to see if we can identify a clear setup to grow our portfolios confidently. So let's jump in with a quick recap of Catalyst before looking at the chart. So in January, they delivered 7,225 vehicles, followed by 5,578 in February, which might be concerning at first, but they do have a holiday in China that occurs during February, so that's as to be expected. On a plus note, they do expect to deliver between 20 and 25,000 vehicles in the first quarter, which would be vastly improved over previous quarters. It is worth noting that they did miss EPS by double of what the expectation was. Meanwhile, they did grow revenue as well. Something to add some confidence to this stock is it is backed by China, and they did recently give them $1 billion to support their growth and support some of the recalls that have occurred recently. So before we actually hop in the chart, I do want to just cover a couple things real quick with you guys. I think most importantly here, when we look at some of the growth potential with NIOs, let's go back a few quarters, back to 2018. You can see that the institutional investors were very interested in NIO. This time they bought $6.2 billion worth of NIO stock, which is pretty extraordinary. Followed by the next quarter was 2.5 billion, 1.4 billion, 4.3 billion or 4.1 billion. And then up here at Q1, they're continuing to add to their positions at 2.4 billion. You can see that the outflows are pretty minimal. Right here, we're at 968 million. Some of these smaller ones are only 158 million. So we're seeing the institutions continue to grab up shares and put them in portfolios. We'll scroll down here real quick, and we can see some of these hedge funds have up to 362,000 shares, or $17 million. Have a few here, 500 million, 400 million, 300 million. So really positive when you look at some of the institutional ownership here. As well as when we look at some of the forecasts from the analyst, we have an average analyst dollar amount of 65.24, which represents about a 45% upside from where it's currently trading. The low is 38.80 with a high of being $81. From that point on, we'll kind of jump over here in the chart and kind of see what we're trading at. And let's see here. When we look at the chart, what we're really looking for is supports and resistances to enter a trade with confidence that we are not going to have a lot of downside, and preferably we have more upside, of course. So when we look at the yearly on this, we did previously have a high of $66.99. That was back in January 11th, leading into one of their NIO events. We did see a sell-off and a pop back up to about $65, $64.50 shortly after, a little bit over a week later. From that point on, we've seen a pretty good sell-off. You can see that here in the MACD, and the RSI has been weakening over time. And here recently is what has me interested again in NIO. I did take some previous trades up to that 60 mark, sold some shares, and I'm recently repurchasing those. So in this time frame, on about March 8th is when we really started seeing some of those inflation fears from the NASDAQ creep in on tech as well. And what we also saw was a big sell-off in Tesla. And all these EV companies are tending to kind of have this sympathy plays with Tesla. So we saw Tesla hit $900. We've seen it all the way down, I think, $530 now. Obviously, it's gone up quite a bit since then. We'll take just a quick look at Tesla just to kind of show you where we were at. So back at 900, came down to that, once again, 530 mark. We're trading at 707 at closing. Good thing is we are sitting a little bit on this, on a couple supports. The green line is the 9-day exponential. The red is the 20, and this peach color here is the 50-day average, and then the 200 is down here at 489. So let's jump back over to NIO and just see kind of what would be a wise trade or a safe trade. So here's what's good about it is we did regain this 9-day exponential moving average, and it currently sits at 43.76. We do have resistance that's not much higher at 46.83. So kind of what we're looking for here is to jump over this 46.83 level, which it almost did this morning. It kind of bounced off of it. And when we look at a few of these indicators, kind of what we'll see here is This is the TTM squeeze, and if you're not familiar with this, it's a real quick overview. And it's an extreme simplification. Is as we see this indicator convert from red, yellow to this light blue, it's basically alerting us of a potential squeeze. And what that usually does is it's a pretty exponential move. So let's just use this as an example. Trading somewhere in the 43 level, and then we got that big jump up to $67, and that was only in about a week's time frame. So come over here and look at this. Yes, we're still several days out from potential squeeze, and we're really kind of early in this trade. If you were just to focus on this indicator, come down here to MACD. We did have some positive divergence. We're starting to see some good or less selling and more buying of the stock. Volume was a little low today. RSI did bounce off this oversold level, and now we're up 45.25. So all this kind of into consideration is this is setting up to potentially run back up to a previous high, maybe even higher, depending on how the Nasdaq recovers the next several days. So if you notice this morning, we did have a sell-off. We were trading in the red for a little while, and then we ended the day green plus 100 points, I believe, maybe a little bit more. And within that, we'd gained some confidence. Bonds sold off, which is a positive thing for tech once again. So let's see how NIO kind of reacts this next couple days. But once again, let's look for entries around this 44 level, and let's look for clearances over 47. What this should do is give us a nice runway to 53, 55. And as these 9-day and the 20 days diverge, which is my favorite play for stocks, is the 920 crossover, we should see some really positive action. One thing I have noticed here recently in stocks is some weekly resistances creeping into our trade. So I'm going to look at it real quickly. Basically, similar to the daily averages, which is good. We have some resistance at that 48.21, and we have some resistance right here at 49.79. So once again, the 20-day here is actually over the 9-day, which is typically a sell signal. But what we're hoping now is with the daily kind of looking positive from a technical perspective, and if this Nasdaq continues to recover through futures, and last time I looked at futures, we were green, so it could lead to a good recovery tomorrow as well. So just kind of a quick recap here, guys. We're looking for that entry around this 9-day moving average, which is that 43.76. We're looking to get some confirmation over the 47. We should expect resistance at 53.55. Some of you guys might consider sizing out. There's nothing wrong with an $8 gain. At that point, it's kind of up to you guys how you trade and how you guys exit your positions. If we do see us running up to that 53, 55 level, I would feel pretty confident about maybe breaking that 50-day resistance with these 9 and 20s coming back up, and then looking at some previous highs. Once again, keep an eye on the NDX or NASDAQ. Keep an eye on Tesla, because the EV market is kind of following Tesla right now. We do see about $100 upside potential with Tesla on the technical chart. So as long as we're looking good across the board, guys, I think NIO has the potential to break out and really add some value to your guys' portfolio. We do have support at $31. That's a little close to $15 drop. So certainly I would set my stops much higher than that, probably in that 41, 42 mark, and then always have the possibility to buy back if something changes, right? But we don't want to end up in a position where we're 20, 30, or 40% down. Don't expect that with NIO, but don't hold bags. Watch futures. The bonds are jumping around, and right now it's kind of dynamic. I really stress being tactical. Looking at your guys' portfolio maybe a little bit more than you typically would, and kind of trading these extreme days with volatility. Once again, I do think long-term NIO has some great potential. So you could just buy some shares and you could lock it away and not look at it for a couple years. And I think we'd be pretty surprised at where NIO is trading. They do have a good market share. Tesla is over there in China. But once again, China is directly backing this stock. So I expect some huge potential here. Hopefully you guys like this video. I hope it adds a little bit of value and maybe some confirmation to what you guys are expecting in NIO. You can use these indicators. Hopefully it adds that confidence. Hopefully it prevents you getting into a trade where you're buying at an expectation or a level where something is overbought and you have to ride that to the downside before seeing upside. We're where you can enter now and see upside more likely than that downside. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Subscribe. If you guys have any stocks you guys want me to look at, feel free to direct message me, and I'd be glad to do this analysis for them. Good luck. Happy trading, and stay tactical, guys. Thank you.